Hello and welcome to week 2, day 4. This is our agenda for today. We're going to, of course, go over our reading language arts, our math, and our social studies today. So it's a little bit different. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our reading language arts. So here in your lesson plan, we are on day 4. Okay, so day 4 for reading, we are going to go over two different activities. The first one is the mystery game. So this mystery game kind of reminds me of I Spy, right? So you think of an object that you have around the house and you say, I'm thinking of an object that begins with the sound B. So of course you want to have an object in mind. So the child is going to look around the house and say, is it bottle? Is it baby? Is it, and then of course till they get to the actual object that you were thinking of. Okay, so that's the mystery game. And this is excellent practice of them just giving you giving you objects with the initial sound that you're asking them. So we're still trying to get them used to that word, initial sound, right? So we're going to go ahead and give another example. I am thinking of an object that begins with okay, and some objects that they might tell you would be finger, right? Maybe your phone. Um, what else can we look around in our house and just find other objects? But remember, you as a parent have to keep in mind the actual mystery object, okay? And we can also do it with people. So you can say, I'm thinking of a person that begins with D. And they'll be like, dog? Oh, is it a person? Well, no, right? Maybe to some of us, our dogs and our different animals are part of our families, but they might say, "Dad, you're thinking of Dad," and yes, that's the person that I was thinking of. Okay, so that's called mystery game, and it is found on page 46, right, of the first section of your book, right? Your reading section. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one, which is note time on page 51. Okay, so note time, it states here to take about 10 minutes out of your day and to sit aside with your child, right? And to go ahead and just communicate using notes. So, of course, you can use like a notepad, especially the prettier they are, the colorful they are, your child is going to want to write more, right? Maybe give them some markers or some pens and so on. You can also use like a writing little tablet. Sometimes they sell the spiral, and what you can do is you each have one or maybe share the same one and just pass it back and forth. And it could be as simple as a post-it, right? These post-its are a little bit small, but of course what you're writing could be just a one thing, like hello, right? You start with hello and you pass it to them. So it's pretty fun. Okay, so you could just write anything and just communicate. Just make a conversation through notes. So there, the child is practicing their reading, of course, because they're reading your notes. But at the same time, they're practicing their writing, right? And listening for those sounds to put down on paper, right? Because they're writing you notes as well, or they're answering your note. So that just goes back and forth for 10 minutes, right? We could start with a smaller amount of time. It doesn't have to be 10, right? But then add it to where they can do it for 10 minutes. And without just thinking about it, I can see some of your children be like, no, let's write some more and so on, because time does go by pretty fast sometimes, right? Especially when you're having fun. So those were the two activities for the top part of the reading. And then what we want you to do is to go to page 72. And page 72 is the story for today, and it's called Engineering with Light and Sound. Okay, so in this booklet, there's a lot of problems and solutions, right? Having to do with light and sound. For example, one of our problem and solution was Let's see. This one. So the problem right here is that people like to listen to music, but sound might bother someone beside them, right? So that has happened a lot of times, even in school when we're in the computer lab. Everyone is in a different place, right? So they need their own headphones, right? They need something that is just for them because then it distracts others. So that was the problem, right? That they want to listen to something, but it might bother someone else. So the solution was that somebody, an engineer, came up with some headphones. Why? Because the headphones are personalized to what you're listening to, whether it be a phone, using your phone or a computer or a tablet, right? It is something that you use for your personal use without bothering somebody else. Okay. Other examples were like this one, right? Earplugs. So this is kind of the opposite. Sometimes the problem is that people are listening to something and it's too noisy, and especially if you're reading and your brother is playing a game on his tablet, well, you can't concentrate because you keep hearing his video game or his game on his tablet. So that was the problem. The solution was that the engineers designed earplugs, and these help you keep noise from coming in. Okay, so there's all kinds of problems and solutions in almost anything we can think about it, right? So what we want you to do is to go ahead and look through this book and find one problem and one solution that you are interested in, that it kind of, it kind of goes with who you are, and go to your composition book, and then you're going to write on the top engineering, right? And then I chose this one right here. Okay, so this is in your book. And what it is, my problem is that people like to go to the beach, right? But guess what? Sometimes it's way, way too hot that it's very hard to enjoy sometimes, right? So the solution was that somebody came up with these big umbrellas, because they probably took the idea like, hey, we use umbrellas when we walk outside to the mailbox, right, to block it. What if we created a bigger one that you can put into the sand and protect us, right? And protect us from that sun when we go to the beach. So that was the problem and that was the solution. So we want you to, of course, I didn't add the sentence, but if you could please write the sentence here. So the problem is that the sun could be too bright and does not let us enjoy our stay at the beach, right? And the solution could be like, hey, why don't we bring an umbrella to cover us when we want some kind of shade, right? So write a sentence about your picture so that we know a little bit more about the picture, okay? So that is your assignment for your book, Engineering with Light and Sound. Okay? We're going to go ahead and move on to our math. And for math, you will be needing pages 206 and 207 for today. And in your lesson plan, which is on page 30, it kind of explains to you what page numbers you need. But like I said, it's up here. So what I did is I went ahead and wrote down the problems. Now it looks like a lot, right? It looks like a lot, and it gives us very limited space, just like in our paper. Okay, so I wanted you to see the importance of why we learn how to add like this, so that, because this is how first grade might give you papers, right? So we want you to get used to using the space provided, but of course you can always ask for an extra sheet of paper. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So we're doing about the same thing. We're making groups of 10, and we're continuing with yesterday's lesson, which was starting with 8. And how many more do I need to make a group of 10 if I have 8? And some of you might already know we need 2, right? But we're going to go ahead and get started just using our information on top. It says Ben has 8 green grapes and 3 purple grapes. How many grapes does he have? So I'm going to go ahead and start by underlining my information, which is 8 green apples and 3 purple. I'm sorry, 8 green grapes and 3 purple grapes, not apples. Okay, so then we want to know how many does he have, right? So we're adding. It doesn't say have in all, but we kind of already know that if they want to know how many grapes, is going to be all of them, right? It doesn't matter what color. So here I'm going to do what we've been doing, right? I'm going to put the little up arrow there. And then I know that I need 2, right? Or what you can do is, yeah, well, we need 2, right? And that makes 10. And then it's 2 from there, and then 3, which is 1, right? 1 dot. So I like to draw my picture even though I have limited space, but it helps me understand it. So then let's go ahead and add. This is 10 and then 11. And my answer is 11. But now they want you to show a 10 fact frame, right? A 10 fact number sentence. So we have 10 and 1 that was not circled equals to 10, 11. It's the same thing. Ben has 11 grapes. Okay? The next one, we do the same way, right? We know that 8 needs 2 to make 10. 2, 3, 4, that's 2 dots, right? So now we add them, 10, 11, 12. My answer is 12. 10, which is this 10, plus how many were not circled? 2 equals to how many? 12. Okay, we'll keep doing the same thing. So here, 8, I need 2 to make 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 3 dots, right? So then it's 10, 11, 12, 13. This gives me 13. I'm going to write my 10 fact over here. 10 plus, this is my 10, plus how many? 3 equals to 13, which is the same thing, but we're just writing 10 facts. Here, 8 plus 7 equals what? Again, we need 2 to make 10, and it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dots, right? So it's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? That's how we got our 15 because we keep adding. And then 10 plus 5 equals 15. Okay? So that is how we do this part. So you will continue working on page 206, which is the remaining part, and then you have page 207. So on page 207 is the same, right? This is your 10, but now you're putting your total. Remember, you're going to put the 10 up there and then the 1. And that gives you 11. So we worked on bonds before, so it's almost the same thing. Okay, so that is for your math. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and continue with our social studies. And for social studies, today we're going to talk about continents. Now, for continents, there is a BrainPOP Junior video that you can show your child. Okay, so in this BrainPOP video gives you a lot of information on continents, not only on continents, but on our oceans. So, boys and girls, we have 7 continents, okay? So we have North America, South America, Europe, Africa, Asia, and Antarctica, and Australia. We have 7 continents, right? And we have 5 oceans, okay? So today we're going to focus, or I am going to focus more on the continents, right? But again, the BrainPOP video shows or talks about the oceans as well, okay? So there's some information that I wanted to share with you. So first of all, I want you to see how our continents look, right? Now I know the picture is very, very dim, but this is our worlds, right? And we live in North America. Sorry, could barely see it. North America on the tip, almost going into South America. Okay, so that is our continent. That's the continent we live in, North America. Okay, so looking at North America right here, I'm going to tell you a little bit about North America. North America includes the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It usually has it has a lot of landforms, right? And a lot of flat areas of land with rich soil. Okay? Now, from here we go down to South America. In South America, we find it in the southern hemisphere. That means towards the bottom, right? In the southern hemisphere. And this is where we have a lot of the Amazon rainforest. Okay, so we get a lot of fruits from here, right? From the Amazon. Then we have Africa, which is right here. I know you can barely see it. This is Africa. And in Africa, we have it in between the north and the south. So it's kind of like in the middle. And it has the largest desert in the world, and it's called the Sahara Desert. Okay, it also is the home of the Nile River, which is the longest river that there is, and it is very important because this is how people travel. Okay, then we have Europe, which is up here, and Europe is known for having the Appalachian Mountains, so it has a lot of mountains, right? And then we have Asia, which is right here, this one right here. And Asia is the world's largest continent with the most population. So a lot of people live in Asia. It actually makes 60% of the population. Okay, and it also has the tallest mountain, such as the Everest. Then we have Australia, which is right here. And Australia is the smallest of the continents. Okay, but it is also a country. And it is all in the southern area, and that is why it's called the country from down under. Okay, and we usually think of kangaroos when we think of Australia for some reason. And then Antarctica is down here. Antarctica is down here, and it is where the South Pole is located. Antarctica is very cold and windy and frozen all year long. It is also considered a desert because it doesn't rain most of the year. It's just cold, right? And it doesn't really have any permanent residents. That means it doesn't have people that actually live there. We just have scientists that go and study the area. Okay? So that is all about our continents, and it is important to know where to find them. Okay? So maybe this was not the best copy of the continents, but it kind of gives you an idea of where they are. Okay, so in that video you can learn a little bit more about each continent, and like I said, it also talks about the oceans. Okay, so how many continents do we have? If you said 7, that is correct. We have 7 continents. And how many oceans do we have? If you said 5, that is correct. We have 5 major oceans. Okay, so today what we want you to do for the continents, right, for our social studies part, is that we want you to use your composition book, which is this one again, okay, and we want you to draw one of the continents that you would like to visit. Okay, so we live in North America, right? So you might want to choose South America and maybe draw about the Amazon rainforest, right? You might choose Europe, right? You might choose, what was it? Africa, right? Antarctica, Australia. You choose what continent would you like to visit, and then tell us why. Why would you like to visit that continent? Okay, is it because of the weather? Is it because of what you've heard that is there? The Nile River? Okay, why would you want to visit? Okay, so let us know. We're excited to hear about it. So if you have any questions, again, go ahead and reach out to your teachers. And thank you for joining us. Have a great and wonderful day. Goodbye.